It's 6 o'clock. We're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. I don't think I have to bang this thing, right? Can we do hold on, what comes first? Let's do a roll call.
Miss Grzymkowski.
Here.
Mr. Dimick.
Here.
Miss Ryan.
Here.
Miss Cotter.
Here.
I am present. Mr. Wiseman. And Miss Dodd.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All righty, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise if you can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we need to have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dimick. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Any comments? All right, let's do another roll call.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
Miss Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman. Mrs. Grzymkowski. Sorry, I can't say that today.
It's okay. Yes.
Miss Cotter.
Yes.
I am a yes. Miss Dodd.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Communications and reports. First, items from the board president. I have just a few notes here to look at. Thanks for coming in the month of July to everybody and making this adjustment to a Wednesday night meeting instead of a Monday night meeting. It was one of the very few days where we could all get in the same room together. So we will do our July meeting here and see each other again in August. Hopefully for families and our educators, they're home getting some good rest, connecting with family and friends, spending some time in the sun or the pool or the beach or the garden, wherever they enjoy spending time. And also thank you to the people who continue to work. So even though we're a school, there's still folks working, and we appreciate all of you helping to get everything ready for next year, from construction to administrative work, enrollment, all of that sort of stuff. We continue, and we appreciate those folks who are working through the summer. On the table tonight, you will see a document to the board members with our board committees for 25-26. These committees are very similar to the committees we've had before. We will have an executive committee, the Teaching, Learning, and Technology Committee, and the Finance and Operations Committee. Those are our traditional committees. We opted to take our Communications, Marketing, and Legislative Committee and roll that into the Executive Committee. For a number of reasons that just seem to make sense. We'll give it a try. We'll see how it works. And next year, when we're back at the same time, we can decide if that was a good move and we want to keep it that way. We also decided to add an ad hoc committee focused specifically on special education to help our team working with education begin to roll out that special education strategic plan. So those are all of our committees. I asked the board members and the chairs to get your folks together, figure out how often you want to meet, when you want to meet, work with your liaisons to get those scheduled, and we can share our meeting schedule, or at least the next meeting at our board meeting in August. All right, moving down. The school liaisons is the other thing that I have yet to share, and since we're still in the middle of summer and I've got some thinking to do, we'll share that at the August board meeting. Tonight on our agenda, we have the one thing I want to talk about is the approval of the superintendent's contract, and it's on the consent agenda. And really, it's on the consent agenda because it's not a new contract. This is a routine approval, primarily of the terms of the contract. Otherwise, there are no substantive changes, and we're making sure that we're keeping this contract up and with the best information based on the time and date that we have it. So it's really kind of a perfunctory vote, so that's why it appears in the consent agenda tonight. Finally, today is July 2nd, and we do not have a fiscal year 25-26 school aid budget from the state of Michigan, as is required by law. They are required by law, just like we are, to submit their budget by the end of June. We had a feeling that this might happen, and when we did our budgeting, we made some assumptions. We have a wonderful financial department and leadership there that helped us really muddle through, but still, even if we would have waited till the last minute, it wouldn't have mattered because there isn't a budget. So this does put us on pins and needles going into our time where we have to start planning money, we have to start making choices. The taxpayers have done their jobs. We've all paid our taxes. We've all put our money in. It's sitting there waiting. We as a board did what we need to do. We did our jobs. We passed our budget. The whole HVS staff team continues to do their jobs, and now we need the Michigan Senate, the Michigan House, and the governor to pass a budget so we can move forward with a clear path. So that concludes my president's comments for tonight. Next, we would have recognition and school presentation. I don't believe we have either of those, so we'll move on to D, superintendent communication.
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate those comments. And I have a few things to share this evening as well. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody that had an opportunity to attend the Huron Valley Education Foundation golf outing last week. It was an outstanding event. It was the second year that we've hosted the event. We had 33 teams, up from, I believe, 26 the year prior, which is, pretty fantastic. Preliminarily, it looks like we raised about $25,000 that is going to go into our classrooms. So a special thank you to Ms. Pastana, Nick Peruski, Dr. Peruski, who co-chair the Huron Valley Education Foundation, for their efforts to lead and help organize that group. And then also, I know Jeffrey is not here, but I want to give a shout out to my boy Jeffrey. Jeffrey takes on a lion's share of the planning and organization for that event, and we are just really grateful for his additional efforts, because he does all of that outside of work hours. So just really grateful for all that work. It was a huge success, and thank you to everyone that was able to participate and contribute. We have a couple new faces here today. Dr. Lena Nemeth, who is here for her first board meeting as the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning Technology. Welcome, Lena. We're very happy to have you here. Lena has hit the ground running already. And not doctor, maybe someday, but Mr. Todd Kalmbach, who has also hit the ground running, started yesterday. The three of us, along with Sarah Fraza, our Associate Director of Student Support Services, had an opportunity to meet yesterday over lunch and really spent some time sort of talking and brainstorming about next steps, where we're headed in terms of our Student Support Services team. And I think we all acknowledge there's a lot of work to do there, but there's a lot of excitement about the future and where we're headed. So to both of you, congratulations, welcome. I look forward to working with both of you and what we will accomplish as a team. Madam President, you mentioned the failed budget negotiations at the state legislature. I just want to underscore some of the comments there. As a local school district, we are required to follow the law. The legislature should be required to follow the law as well. They were responsible to pass a balanced budget by June 30th, Monday. They failed to do that. That is unacceptable. And we need our board, we need our community to speak to that. I mean, they don't have to dictate what the budget needs to be, but they have an obligation to work together to get it done. It's like their main job to do that. So I want to just share a press release I received from the Michigan Department of Education that I think, you're welcome, that I think is helpful. And I want to read into the record the third and the fourth paragraphs, which I think are particularly important. This is a press release from our state superintendent, Dr. Michael Rice. It's titled, "Missed Budget Deadline Risks Harming Children." State superintendent says, legislature must work together to provide dedicated funding for priorities that benefit students. And I quote, this is from Dr. Rice, "It's disappointing that the legislature failed to approve a budget in a timely manner by the statutory deadline approved by the state legislature itself," said Dr. Michael Rice. But the legislature did more than just miss an important deadline. It failed to give local school districts a reasonable range of what to expect in the budget due to the large gap that remains between the House outlier budget and the much stronger versions of the Senate and Governor Whitmer's budgets. By state law, July 1 was the deadline for the legislature to approve a fiscal year 2026 budget. Local school boards are required to pass their budgets before July 1, the beginning of their fiscal year. So I want to be real clear. For me, this is not about Democrat, Republican. I don't particularly have a concern about who sits in what seat. What I do have a concern about is when our legislators can't come to the table and do what is right for kids and negotiate in good faith with one another. And I would say that neither side of this argument was sitting down and having the conversations that they needed to have, and they had a lot of time to do it. So with that, we are unfortunately where we predicted we would be. We do not have a state budget, and I do not know when we will have a state budget. And so with that, that concludes my comments this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our students are away, so we do not have student leadership comment. We also do not have association communication this evening. Do we have board correspondence?
I think we do. It's just the discussion. So it's a thank you note from our Mr. Tavernier, and I just want to quick read this. Dear Board and Coat, a quick note to say thank you for the basket of comfort goodies and the awesome chairs that complement the fire pit. Also very humbled and appreciative of the honor roll recognition. It has been a pleasure to work with each of you. Thank you, John.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you, John. Moving on to Treasurer's report. Mr. Treasurer?
Yes, just a couple comments. First of all, President Dodd and Superintendent Salah, I cannot add any more to the discussion as it relates to the budget. It really puts us in a tough spot from a treasurer's standpoint, and a board member standpoint, and community standpoint when we don't know how much we're getting, where we're going to get it, and we're responsible for providing the very best opportunities we possibly can for our students. So we're going to continue doing those things, and we're going to continue doing our job. We ask our state legislature to do their job. At the same time, I think it's very important that even though it is in consent, and President Dodd has already made comment, the superintendent's contract that's in our consent is something that we do. It's something that both Member Grisomkowski and I spent a lot of time on behalf of the board last year having conversations as it related to the contract. And the contract before us is exactly the same as what was presented to the board and was approved a year ago. I think it is important to note the reasons why, because people might ask, well, why do you even have to bring it since we already approved? I think it's important to read to our community the background. Dr. Salah has been employed by the Huron Valley Schools in the capacity of superintendent since December of 2018. How time flies when you're having fun, right? His employment has been marked with successful initiatives, and his evaluation has been reflected positive outcomes each year of his employment. In order to ensure compliance, and Dr. Salah talked about one of our obligations is to meet the letter of the law. To ensure compliance with the recent Michigan Supreme Court ruling of Batista versus the Office of Retirement Services, the ORS, Dr. Salah's contract will reflect the required salary schedule to ensure there is no confusion with ORS when Dr. Salah chooses to retire, which will be many years from now. Dr. Salah's contract will not have any changes outside of reflecting the latest terms and adding a salary schedule. And that is, I think it's important for the community to know specifically why that is in the consent. And that is the three-boxer that is out on our website as it relates to the board agenda and what we're going to be voting on within the consent. So that ends my treasurer's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman. I do not believe any of our committees have met because we didn't have committees, so we can move right past this. We also do not have any public comment forms. Anything out there, gentlemen? There's two public sitting in the audience. No, there's no public comments. Okay, moving on down to the consent agenda. Can I please have a motion about the consent agenda?
I move that the board approve the consent agenda A through D.
Thank you very much. We have a motion from Mrs. Grisomkowski. Do we have support?
I'm going to support that.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Cotter. Any comments? Any discussion? Okay, we'll move on to a roll call vote.
Ms. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
And Ms. Dodd.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you very much. All right, moving down to unfinished business, we have two items. First, we're going to start with bid pack 15, HVS Administration Building relocation. And do we have a presentation or anything, or are we good? We're good?
Yeah, so this item was presented to F&O on a couple of different occasions. There was a board presentation at the last board meeting. We have not had any additional questions. If there is a question this evening, we do have a couple of our service providers in the audience, and happy to invite them to the podium if necessary.
All right, let's get a motion, and then we can decide if we want to invite these wonderful two members of our public comment area to the podium. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve bid pack 15, HVS Administration Building relocation as presented in previous board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Any discussion? Any other questions? Yes, sir?
I think it's important just tentatively, what's the timeline as it relates to this and what's involved in this move, relocation?
So the board actually approved asbestos removal previously, about a month ago, and so that work was supposed to have already begun. And I'm seeing a nod there. I don't have my glasses on. Yeah, it'll start in 2 weeks? Okay. So it'll start in 2 or 3 weeks, and then they're going to begin the work immediately after the asbestos removal.
And this is the move from the administrative offices that are presently housing our administration over to Milford High School.
Yeah, if you recall, as part of the Strategic Plan 2.0 work, we made the decision with the successful passage of the 2024 bond to close the current administrative offices, which are beyond repair, and to occupy some vacant space at Milford High School so that we can fully maximize the use of our facilities and save taxpayer dollars.
So the funding for this comes out of the bond issue. The savings will come out of the general fund.
That's correct.
Which will have a
Yes.
positive effect on what we can offer our children.
That's correct, yes.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wiseman. And of course, reminding everyone that this work does come out of the bond funds, and we always thank and appreciate our community when we vote for things like this, because it was because of their support we're able to make changes like this and get more of the money flowing back into classrooms for teaching and learning. So that's my comment. Are we ready for a vote? Looks like it. Let's do a roll call.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. Now moving on to the much anticipated from our last meeting, orchestra pit filler for the Milford High School Auditorium.
I think this is the one I was tongue-tied on, right? Is
Yeah.
that- yeah.
Actually, you wanted to add it earlier
I
in the
did.
agenda.
I did,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anything that we should know since our last meeting?
This has been presented on a few different occasions. It was presented at a board meeting to the public as well as the full board. We have not had any additional questions, so we would ask for approval as presented this evening.
All right. Let's do a motion, and then we'll have discussion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the orchestra pit filler as
As in the, yeah.
You got it. Motion made by Mr. Dimick. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Ms. Grisomkowski. I will tell you, I know quite a few arts people in the Milford community who are very excited about this pit filler legitimately, and especially the net. They're especially happy about the net and the added security, both of the modular pit covers, so there can be just a head popping out to conduct the orchestra, and it doesn't have to be a big open space. That seems like everybody's very happy about that. That's the feedback I've heard from the community since the last meeting. Anybody else have discussion? All right, let's take a roll call.
Mr. Dimick,
Yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski,
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we do not have any new business listed on the agenda. I think we're still public comment lists, so I think we can move on to good and welfare. Any good and welfare? I believe the good and welfare is an